Hello, and welcome to the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast.
Join us as we celebrate the remarkable contributions of women to this timeless art form, featuring insightful interviews, captivating stories, and performances that showcase their talent and dedication.
I'm your host, Bridget Gerard, classical guitarist and member of the Kitchener-Waterloo Guitar Orchestra.
And I am your host, Mariette Stevenson, founder, music director, and conductor of the Kitchener-Waterloo Guitar Orchestra, and professor of guitar at Wilfrid Laurier University and the University of Waterloo.
We are excited to bring you the lives and music of these classical guitar heroines, past and present, and to share with you their enduring impact on music and our world.
Welcome to the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast. Our guest today is Canadian Cuban guitarist Iliana Matos. The Canadian Cuban guitarist Iliana Matos has had an extraordinary career spanning more than 3 decades that has earned her a place among the world's preeminent guitarists. She has performed extensively throughout North and South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. In 2016, she celebrated 30 years as a performer, and to mark that milestone, Iliana performed in 19 cities in China, including a concert at the Shenyang International Guitar Festival. The tour also featured concerts in 23 North American cities and a 7-city tour in Mexico. She has lived in Canada since 2013 and has become a favorite in the Canadian guitar scene. Iliana has released many recordings, and her acclaimed CD, Angels in the Street, has been included in the book Guitar's Top 100 by musicologist Enrique Robichaud.
Iliana made history as the first woman to win the prestigious SAR La Infanta Doña Cristina International Guitar Competition, and as the only person to win the special prize for Best Interpretation of Spanish Music in 2 consecutive years, 1995 and 1996. She is a prize winner at 11 major international competitions, including first prizes at André Segovia's, Luis Milan, and Manuel Ponce international guitar competitions. Of her talent, the legendary guitarist Maria Luisa Anido said, "I am impressed by your wonderful guitarist art, and I am proud to know that a woman, and a Cuban woman, came to such a degree of artistic perfection." Since 2017, Iliana has been the studio guitar instructor at the University of Lethbridge in Alberta, Canada, where she founded and developed the graduate program for guitar performance. She is the president and artistic director of the Lethbridge Classical Guitar Society. From 1995 to 2013, Iliana was based in Spain, where she was active in developing the next generation of guitarists through her work teaching at the Conservatory of Balearics, the Conservatory of Salamanca, and the Royal Music Conservatory of Madrid. Here is Iliana Matos performing Hasta Alicia Baila by Eduardo Martin with fellow Cuban guitarist Rene Izquierdo live in concert.
that was our guest, Iliana Matos, performing Hasta Alicia Baila by Eduardo Martin with Rene Izquierdo live in concert. Welcome, Iliana, to the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here talking with you guys.
Oh, it is our pleasure. Our pleasure. You were born in Cuba, a country with a rich tradition of classical guitar, including the Cuban School of Guitar. Do you remember when you first heard the classical guitar and decided that you wanted to learn it?
Looking back, it's kind of fun thing because I had never heard the classical guitar before when I decided to do classical guitar. The story is I first started learning popular music by hearing when I was 9. And I used to play in Cuba in many children band. I went to a national festival and I was playing because I learned a few instruments and I used to play electric guitar, bass, electric piano, singing and conducting the band.
Wow.
Anyway, I was there and someone on the jury approached my mom and told her she should learn music because I was 9 or 10 years old and I was, you imagine, children bands and conducting the band and at the same time singing and playing the piano. And then my mom said, yeah, of course. And then she took me to the conservatory and I made the exam. You know how it's Cuba, very strict, only kids with musical quality could get into the program. And then I passed the exam with the highest note or marks. And I first wanted to learn piano, even that I used to play the guitar as well. But the point was that they don't allow kids over 7 years old to learn piano or bow instrument. Yeah, that was the structure in our conservatory. It's like they divide the program into what they call long and short career. So both instruments and piano, you have to be 7 years old to be able to get into the program. The other instrument could make it at 10 or 11. So they said, no, too late for you. So I couldn't get into the program. And that's the way they told me, well, you have 3 options. In this conservatory, we have flute, percussion, or guitar. So as I play guitar, by that time, I said, okay, let's go with guitar. And that's the story. But I was born in a very small town. I had never heard classical guitar or even classical music before. But I have to say, once I got into the program and I started learning the classical guitar, it was a journey.
You were hooked.
Yeah.
Now, there are some very important women who are part of the Cuban School of Guitar, like Clara Romero, who founded the guitar department at the Havana Municipal Conservatory in 1931, and the Guitar Society of Cuba, as well as Clara Romero's daughter, Clara Nicola, and Marta Cuervo, to name a few. Can you talk briefly about their importance and perhaps their influence on you?
So I have to say, I never met Clara Romero. I met Marta Cuervo. She was a teacher while I was studying at the National School of Music, but she wasn't my teacher. But yeah, she was an inspiration for sure for all of us. Clara Romero's legacy is the most important thing to talk about when we talk about Cuban school, because Clara Romero was Isaac Nicola's mother. So Isaac Nicola is the founder of the Cuban Guitar School, Leo Brouwer teacher and Ortega teacher. Isaac Nicola went to Spain and studied with Emilio Pujol. And then when he went back to Cuba and then the Cuban Revolution happened, he built a program, national program, based on his own methods, which at the same time was based on Emilio Pujol methods.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the story. But all of this is because before the Cuban Revolution and Fidel Castro and all of this stuff, Clara Romero, as you well say, was the one developing and supporting the classical guitar in Cuba and especially in Havana. Yeah. So she is behind everything. Everybody talk about Isaac Nicola, but it's actually about Clara Romero. Without her, nothing could happen. Yeah, that is how, for example, Andres Segovia, do you know that he recorded his first long play?
Long playing record?
Exactly. The first Segovia long play was recorded in Cuba.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, you can look on that. Yeah.
Wow.
The point is that before 1950, Cuba was called like the Antillas key because there were a lot of European musicians traveling to New York to play, in the wonderful venues. And all of them in Cuba, we had from Stravinsky to Segovia to everybody on their way to New York. They used to stop in Cuba and play with the Philharmonic Orchestra. So in Havana, before Cuba Revolution, it was actually the most important musical environment in all Latin America.
Wow.
Wow. Iliana, you attended both the National School of Art of Havana and the Superior Institute of Havana, where you received a special diploma given to the most outstanding graduate for artistic creative work. Can you chat about your teachers at the school and how they prepared you for a career in music?
Well, I had so many teachers, hard to mention all of them. But if I have to mention someone, especially I could bring to my biography Jose Angel Perez Puentes, especially him, because I had so many teachers. Every year I had kind of a different teacher. It's how the system works in Cuba, But this professor, he's composer, guitarist, orchestra director, etc. So he's a full musician, right? Not only a guitarist. Right. So when I went to Havana National School, I was lucky, that he taught me. But that time I was about 15, 16, and he introduced me to Renaissance music, for example,
Wow.
contemporary music, because the repertoire that was familiar to me by that time it was some baroque, classicism, a lot of romantic music, right, and some 20th century, but just Segovia repertoire, right?
Right.
And since Pepe, we call him Pepe, Pepe Angel, Jose Angel, he was a composer. I remember that when I was learning that fugue, re, do, re, ti, do, la, la. The first exercise he taught me was to write separate voices, paper. Wow, it was something huge for me, to discover that there was so much going on music. So he opened my mind to another approach and perspective. Of course, I had other teachers that also made a great impact on my technique. But I can say that being 16 and having someone that marked so much my approach to classical guitar, after so many years, still means too much to me.
Right.
It's incredible.
That's lovely. We will now hear Iliana perform the beautiful Mirandote by Eduardo Martin. This performance is courtesy of Guitar Salon International.
And that was our guest, Iliana Matos, performing Mirándote by Eduardo Martín. This performance is courtesy of Guitar Salon International. You are listening to the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast. So we just listened to Mirándote by Eduardo Martín. The first time I heard this piece was when I heard you play it. Can you chat about this incredibly beautiful piece of music?
Oh wow, that is a very, very nice piece. It's part of a series, 10 easy pieces. Actually, it has a name in Spanish, but the publication, to make it easy for non-Spanish speaker, they call it easy pieces. But its original title is Álbum de la Inocencia, means like the innocence album.
Oh, lovely.
Exactly. It's like a music for kids or something. Yeah.
Mm.
Not only for kids, there are two pieces dedicated to Eduardo Childs. But I mean, what I wanna means is that very affordable pieces that goes from very easy level, we could say even almost beginner, to and finish it with a, let's say, intermediate high level. And Mirándote is the number one, I believe, is dedicated to Darío. Darío is Eduardo's son. He has two children, and he's a pianist, actually, a great pianist. Mirándote means looking at you or staring at you, right? And it's like, I imagine, it's a piece that talk about love, the love from a father to his son. Yeah, it's just an amazing piece. And since I used to play for many years Eduardo's music, you know that about my recording Angels in the Street with so many hard pieces. And in 2016, when I made that tour celebrating my 30 years as a performer, I wanted to play something easy. So I made my program choice thinking in the audience. What can I give to the audience that engage them, you know? And not especially a very hard piece. So that was a good choice, actually, because I never played that piece before, and it was so incredible to realize the audience response to this piece. It's simple piece, simple structure, but beautiful and always so engaging.
It's a gorgeous piece of music.
Yeah, it is. It is.
After having lived and taught in Spain for many years, you moved to Canada in 2013. Under Canada's immigration laws, I remember that new immigrants cannot earn income during their first year here. So you couldn't teach, you couldn't perform, and you were intensively learning English. And I was wondering if you could speak about how difficult all of that was for you, and how did you use that time off to prepare for the following year when you resumed your performing and teaching?
Oh, yeah, that was something. It was a big shift coming from Spain when I used to be full time, you know, overbooked, and suddenly being in Canada with -0, no English, not being allowed to do anything, even to learn.
Really?
To go, yes, because you know, to come to Canada, my partner sponsored me. And while you are on the process, you are not allowed even to go to school.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So the person who sponsors you is responsible for everything. Once you get your permanent resident, yeah, so then you can go to school for free and everything is for free. Great. But that's it. So the point was that I was just stuck at home. And I didn't speak any English, but I wanted to, of course, to learn English first, to make connection, as I wasn't allowed to go to the school. So I just make my schedule and I used to have this kind of routine. A few hours learning English online. A few hours just looking on Facebook, Google. I know it's funny, right?
Yeah.
But I never before spend time, figuring out what is going on the musical
Right.
work or guitar. No,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh wow, Facebook. Oh my, Canada. How many guitar societies in the United States? Everything.
Yeah.
So it was like a wow, open eyes. I learned so much. And then another thing. So at the end, I was just immersed on English. And the other time that I wasn't learning English or learning about the guitar world, I was just practicing. And in Spain, I didn't have time even for practice because I used to teach many, many hours.
Yeah.
So it was just like a ideal time because I make happen something that it was so frustrating for me. The point that I didn't speak English, I didn't, in some point it was hard for me to develop a career in Europe. And I lost a lot of opportunities because of that, right? Yeah, so then it was like a dream come true. You just need to practice guitar and learn English. So it was a great time for me. Yeah, I wish I could come back to that time.
A sabbatical.
Yeah, exactly. So I had 2 years sabbatical.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Iliana, besides learning English, were there any other big adjustments to living in Canada? You already talked about the cold weather, and that is a real adjustment for people moving to Canada. But was there anything else that was a big adjustment?
Well, other than start taking vitamin D. Well, that's the truth. After 6 months,
Absolutely.
the doctors say, well, you are lacking vitamin D.
A lot of Canadians lack vitamin D. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Other than that, everything was, I was lucky enough that I connect. That was the time probably, or the year after, probably, or year and a half after I arrived in Canada that I met you, Mariette, right? Probably 2015 or 14.
I don't remember the year, but I remember we met at I think it was the Toronto Guitar Weekend. And I was at the door selling tickets for, as a volunteer. And you came up, my limited Spanish.
Yeah, but I think it was 2014.
Was it 2014?
I think so, yeah. So I was like living like a half year in Canada when that happened. And by that time I learned a few words in English. But it was so very tricky when I show up there with my ticket for the guitar weekend. And not knowing how to communicate. It was quite tricky, right?
But I remember that, as a lot of guitar festivals, there were people presenting lectures. And I remember that you went to all of these lectures. And, I was thinking, wow, how difficult that must have been. Just like for me, if I'm learning a new language and I'm sitting in and it's just like an hour or many hours of that trying to absorb it, it's so tiring. That is so exhausting to try to do the translation in your head, but then there's more information being talked about like that. Oh, wow. So you were such a trooper. You were so determined to to be part of the guitar community and to be learning English at the same time and just to take it all in. And it was an absolute marvel. You were an inspiration. I have to learn more languages. Just to connect with more people. Even just a few words can make all the difference.
Well, Mariette, I had no choice.
Yeah.
I had no choice. Otherwise, I will keep living on my shell.
Yeah.
So, and it was a dream for me, always something that I really wanted. I never had the opportunity to live in a country English speaker, right? So it was a incredible opportunity to be in Canada. So, but I think other than that, overall, it's a guitar is music is my passion. So this is what forced me to do my best and to try over and over and over, and
And speaking of the Toronto Guitar Society, we will listen to your lovely recording of an idea, a piece that the incredible Leo Brouwer wrote to honor Ellie Kassner, who's credited as really being a founding father of Canadian classical guitar. Why is this beautiful piece so meaningful to you?
Ellie Kassner was a very close friend of Leo Brouwer. And Leo Brouwer is everything for any Cuban guitarist, especially because we grew up in Cuba, and the Havana Festival that Leo developed in Cuba allowed us to meet firsthand the best guitarists in the world in any order, as a performers, lectures, master class. As Ellie and Leo were very close friends, Ellie Kassner used to go to Cuba to every single festival. And he always was filming everybody. He was a so nice guy, very friendly, accessible, beautiful person. And that is the memory I have from Ellie, seeing him always in Cuba, beside Leo. Years after I left from Cuba, actually, I met him again in Martinica. There was a festival, used to be a guitar festival and competition. And I remember in 1994, the last festival and competition they made, Ellie was there with Anne. And I ran the competition many years later. I was in Toronto, and I attended Ellie Kassner's birthday. It was so lovely meeting him after so many years. When I approached him and I told him, I'm Iliana from Cuba, he remembered me, even though he was very old. But it was something so special for me. It's like talking about those people, those musicians, those guitarists who inspire you when you were doing your bachelor degree. This kind of people, you never forget them. And that is what Ellie means to me. So that's why I wanted to play that piece, because it was Leo honoring his great friend, Ellie Kassner. And the story behind this piece, years later, I played this piece in the Women of the Guitar Festival in Buffalo. And Leo attended that concert, and I played half program dedicated to Leo music. I premiered Danzas Rituales y Festivas #2, but also I played an idea, and I asked Leo, who was sitting in the front row, if he could say something, introduce the piece, and he made a lovely introduction. And I didn't know what was behind that piece. And the truth is that Leo said that they used to call each other over the phone, because in that time there wasn't, just writing letters, and the mail was so slow, no internet. But they used to call each other over the phone to think and to build ideas. Always say, hey, Leo, I have an idea. Hey, Ellie, I have an idea. How about if we make this festival, we bring this person, and that's the way. So when the Toronto Guitar Society commissioned the piece to Leo, he thought that is going to be the perfect title to summarize what was their friendship.
That's so
beautiful.
Yeah.
And we are so fortunate. We will now hear you, Iliana Matos, perform the beautiful An Idea by Leo Brouwer, dedicated to Ellie Kassner. This performance is courtesy of the Guitar Salon International.
That was Iliana Matos performing An Idea by Leo Brouwer, dedicated to Ellie Kassner. This performance was courtesy of Guitar Salon International. You are listening to the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast. You have taught guitar for many years. Countless students have played for you in master classes around the world, and there are guitar students listening to this very episode. Is there one piece of advice that you would give those students?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, very, very good question, especially in this time that there are too much information out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a new world, different times, 2 generations before.
Absolutely.
Thinking on my own student, but also those that I usually meet when I teach master class, when I'm touring, I would say first you need to be open. Be open to learn all you can about our history. You need that. Without that, there is no foundation.
Right.
Yeah. But also, I would say it's not only about history. You need to look at history in terms of technique evolution. How is the guitar at this moment? The level is so huge.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The new generation need to think, okay, what can I do to take people's attention, to make room for myself?
For sure. Yeah.
So that is a big question that many students ask me. What is your suggestion? What is your advice to be successful, right? And I would say they need to be very well prepared in terms of knowledge, technique, and then creativity. And I think that is the part that sometimes they are lacking of. Because with the new technology, everything is a little bit distracting, and sometimes we miss the point.
Right.
Okay.
So I think that big question, why should we play the guitar or the piano or whatever? Why to be a musician? That is the big question. Does we still have a function in this society? If still there is room for music, the arts, in this important point when the world is going crazy and everything happening, is just, I have no word.
Yeah.
But still, you see, right now there is the Guitar Foundation convention running, and some people that are there playing and playing. So there is still room for music and arts, and there are still so many events over the world. So my advice is get all you need to be very well prepared, and then follow your heart. If you don't have something to say, you won't be succeed, because with social media and everything, you can do that. But then when you go to stage, how you engage your audience?
Yep. You have to bring it.
Exactly. So I know that it's very hard because the level is so high in one hand, and the other hand, technologies at the same time, they need to know and to learn everything. But this is just tools that they need to have. I would say still the heart should be opening any doors. That is what I think is making the difference. Every time that I adjudicate a competition, it's the finals, and all of them play so very well. Great sound, super fast, super clean, everything good, so accessible for everybody. So how can I make a choice as a jury if they play similar? because now the problem is that they play very, very similar. It's like a standard, big standard. So what is going to make the difference? And I think that that is the big challenge for the new generation, to make a difference with their arts, being personal. So to summarize, I will say, prepare yourself at your best and follow your heart.
Beautiful. This year, you created a new recording entitled A Solas. Can you tell us about this important and meaningful project and how it came about?
A solas, first of all, means being alone. And it's very sad story that happened to me about COVID with the lockdown, but I think it's not about me. It's my story, but I think so many people were under the same situation. Probably many people had the same kind of experience or close to. The point it was after 3 months in lockdown, I was teaching an online lesson and I fainted.
That's so scary.
I fainted and I crashed my Paco Marin guitar.
Oh no.
Yeah. While I was teaching with my Paco Marin guitar, everybody asked me, why did you teach with you? I don't know. I never thought that being at home, it could be, Anyway, after that, of course, 911, hospital, doctor check all my body, my heart to realize if I had a stroke or something, my brain, everything. And everything was good. Fortunately. And they say, no, it's just a stress.
Wow.
And then after that, I started having vertigo. And that was even worse than the fainted. Because when I had vertigo, I had to stop teaching and doing anything because I couldn't sit even. I still was conscious, but everything is spinning around, and it was very, very bad. And usually it take me about 2 hours to recover.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vertigo is so debilitating.
And anyway, doctor told me, there is nothing we can do to help you. You are good. It's just a stress. I thought, well, what to do? It's funny that I didn't feel stressed out. Yeah, I just was teaching online over and over, many hours, 10 hours daily. And I just did my best to keep going and going. And I didn't notice that I pushed myself too hard. After that, I thought, okay, what is going on here? You need to do something. And then someone introduced me to meditation. And I started meditating. I changed my routine because big mistake I did when the lockdown, it was that I kept my schedule like one student 4 hours straight, small break, and another, 1 hour break, too bad. After this episode, I knew I had to do something and that I pushed myself too hard. So then I started walking an hour before teaching, taking breaks. I changed everything, and then I started meditating. And it lasted like a half year. But suddenly, the vertigo disappeared. Never before, never again happened. I became a great meditator. I'm not sure if I'm advanced, but I sometimes had to meditate 2 hours to calm myself, calm my mind. And in the meantime, I lost my passion for guitar to practice. I just was focused on recover myself, to still teach my students, to be functioning still. But I didn't have that passion that I used to have since I was a kid. So for me, I'm so emotional player, and music and guitar always have been my passion, that I noticed that I was lacking that passion. It was like it was so devastating for me feeling. I felt like I don't know how to express that, like I wasn't alive even, like my heart didn't beat properly. Yeah, life is different when lacking my passion, and that's why this project came out. I got the idea that if I commission music based on this story, that might help me to bring my passion back.
Right.
And that was the initial idea from this project. And then I approached composer and I told them the story, if they could write a piece describing this story. That is the main idea of this project. I got 8 composers from different parts of the world. I wanted to have, of course, Canadians composer as a big part of the project as I became Canadian in the meantime, making Canada my new home. But also, it happened in Canada.
Very
So
true.
Right.
I need my Canadian composer telling the story, but also I wanted to have composer that meaningful for me over my whole career. And that's the way I approach Brouwer, Rene, Vasiliev, and Assad.
With that, we will now hear Iliana Matos perform the title track, A Solas, by Juan Arena from her latest release.
That was Iliana Matos performing the title track from her latest release, A Solas, by Juan Arena. You are listening to the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast. Iliana, as we wind down our chat, do you have any final thoughts about women and guitar?
Women, yeah, that is a good question because I know that lately, the last 10 years, probably there have been a lot of support about women, but really, still, there are a big difference between being women guitarists or men. And it's not only about guitarists, it's about genre, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I don't have kids. I choose my guitar in that time.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot. It's so hard for women to have children, partners, run a house, making a living, being original.
Absolutely.
So I think that still there are no enough support.
Right.
I think we can do more, more and more. The society, institution, I would say.
And we completely agree with you. There needs to be more
Absolutely.
done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think so. And it's not about the guitar again. You analyze numbers, symphony orchestra, how many men and women in any university program, how many women and men.
Exactly.
And talking about salary, how much women get and how much men get.
Yep.
And there are numbers.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
It's not my point of view, numbers we are talking. So I think we need to support more women. I think so.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of supporting, where can our audience discover more of your music?
Oh, well, social media. I have a YouTube channel. I don't post usually. I have some video there. My Instagram is more probably the social media and Facebook where I'm more focused, but it's until they are recording that you can get online. Between all of them, they can find about me.
And your website.
Yeah, my website that by the way need an update. Yeah. By the way, my new CD is not still there, but it's gonna be available for physical purchases soon. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And they can also find it on Apple, iTunes.
Yeah, well, my
Spotify.
new CD is all on streamings, but physical copies are not available. But will be soon. I will let everybody know when that happens.
We look forward to that.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for being our guest today, Iliana.
Thank you.
It's been a big pleasure being here and talking with you in English, Mariette.
It was beautiful.
Muchas gracias, Iliana.
Oh, great Spanish. That was perfect.
Here is one last recording by Iliana Matos performing in concert Agustin Barrios' iconic Vals Opus 8, number 4.
was Iliana Matos from a live recording performing Agustin Barrios' Valse Opus 8, number 4.
We would like to thank the wonderful Iliana Matos for speaking with us today. We would also like to thank Rene Izquierdo and Guitar Salon International for their generous support and contributions to this episode. Follow the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. If you enjoyed what you heard, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our Substack newsletter for updates. If you love our podcast and want to support us, consider visiting our Ko-fi account. You can find the link on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Every contribution, no matter the amount, helps us to stay independent and keep the podcast accessible to everyone. And remember, if you are a woman that plays classical guitar, you too are a classical guitar heroine. Thank you for joining us on the Classical Guitar Heroines podcast.